Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial from me, and it's time for me to apply flocking to the interior of the Alpha model top secret Toyota Supra, which I am currently building, and I decided to document the whole process to show you exactly the procedure that I follow to apply flocking. Flocking is done to simulate carpet and make the interior as realistic as possible. I shall be applying flocking to these two areas for the driver and the passenger areas, and both to the front and back of the front seats. And I shall avoid applying any glue or flocking inside these two areas because the front seats sit inside those areas. It will hinder the installation of the front seats. It will make them sit a little bit higher, so those two areas shall remain as they are without any flocking. Let's see what is exactly required for flocking. So this is actually what is required for the flocking procedure, beginning obviously from the flocking. I have seen reference photos of the actual top secret Toyota Supra, and it has dark color, dark gray carpet, so I think that this charcoal gray from Hero Boy is the best alternatives. However, there are many alternatives for flocking which you can actually buy. What I would suggest is that if especially you are using a lighter colored flocking, for example light gray or a tan or bright red flocking, I would suggest that you paint the surface where it will be applied as close as possible to that particular color which you shall be using. And that is because once the glue fully hardens, the flocking will reflect the color that is beneath, and if it is a dark color, it will affect the final color of the flocking. Second thing is a strainer. This is actually a tea strainer. It has nothing to do with our hobby. However, it is very good for this job. We will pour the flocking inside the strainer and then tap on the strainer to let the finest particles of the flocking fall onto the surface. And this makes a great job so that the flocking will fall onto the surface in a timely manner and make it as smooth as possible. And then we need some brushes to paint the glue onto the surface. A toothpick, it might become helpful to clean some extra glue that would be applied to areas where it is not required. I like to use also a flat brush so that I will push the flocking in place once it is applied, and also this particular handle will be good to tap on the other side of where the flocking was applied so that the extra flocking will actually fall down. All right, so this has actually two uses. Then there is the glue. As mentioned, I like to use the white glue. Basically, there are two methods, the white glue or the paint method. I have tried the paint method, however, for some reason, maybe it's because of the type of paint that I was using, the paint was drying before, some areas were drying before I went to apply the flocking. Maybe I need to use different paint. However, with the white glue method, I never had any problem, so I prefer keep using the white glue. And this particular white glue is quite thin. It is not thick at all, so I don't apply any water. I simply apply it directly from the bottle. However, if your white glue is thick, you will need to mix some water to make the consistency of the glue easy to paint and become level once it is fully applied. Finally, I recommend using a face mask because the flocking contains very tiny particles that will start going around once you start applying, and especially once you start tapping and emptying the contents into the bag. So I would suggest that you wear a face mask to protect yourself from inhaling all the flocking pieces that will start flowing around. Now you may see that I have prepared an A4 sheet of paper that is already folded in the middle, as you can see. And the reason for that is that I prefer working on a piece of paper so that when the time comes to tap on the other side to remove the extra flocking, the extra flocking will fall onto the paper, and then I will simply fold it in half and pour it back into the bag. So I'm going to pour some glue to find it readily available. Take the brush and start applying the glue, trying to make it as level as possible. So the glue has been applied. As we can see over here, I have an extra piece which I will remove. Okay, I have removed the glue so that no flocking will attach to that part, and I have also covered this part of the central console, because on the actual Toyota Supra the carpet goes up until the central console, so I'm going to replicate also that part. So now it's time to fill this strainer and begin applying the flocking. What I'm going to do is simply tap on the T-strainer so that fine particles of the flocking will start falling until it forms an even layout, an even surface onto my working object. Let's go. So as you can see, after some light tappings, it is already filling up smoothly, nicely in line. So I will keep putting even more flocking in place until all of the glue is covered. As you can see, the area, including the central console, is fully covered with the flocking material. And what I shall be doing now is very, very gently press onto the flocking just to make it attach a little bit better to the glue. As I've said, very gently, don't make any pressure, because it will simply distort the glue that is still very wet beneath the flocking. Also for the central console. Alright, so now it is ready for the tapping. Now, usually we take something that is a little bit chunky so that we can tap on the other side. However, as you can see, since this is a resin kit, the other side is actually the chassis. There is no interior tab, so I shall take extra care when tapping so that I will not damage the already painted chassis. For that reason, I shall be using this toothbrush in pink, because it contains this soft material and I'm sure that it will not damage the chassis. So the next job is to tap onto the chassis, onto the other part of where the flocking was applied. we can take a closer look. As you can see, flocking is attached to where the glue was applied. There are still some pieces of flocking onto other areas that have not fallen down when the tapping was performed. Those are the tiny pieces that I have mentioned that will go everywhere and they will actually stick. However, what I do is I let the glue to fully harden until the next day, and then I take the compressed air and I simply blow it off. One thing I would like to mention is if you notice any defect or notice anything, something that is onto the surface that is not supposed to be there, don't try to make a repair or to remove that particular thing right away, because the glue is still very fresh, very wet beneath the flocking. So if you try to apply more flocking and press it in place, there is a high risk that the glue beneath the flocking will distort, and that will ruin completely the finish. So leave it until the next day to make any repairs or remove any unnecessary object that might have fallen onto the flocking, because even if you try to go with the tweezers to remove that particular thing, the tweezers will touch with the glue and it will distort the glue beneath and ruin the smooth finish that can be seen like this. For example, the smooth finish that can be noticed right here. I will go ahead and apply the other part, the other section. So now the second part is also done. Same procedure as before, including the central console, which I have also covered from the backside to make it even, complete. As you will notice that the glue is still fresh, because over here, for example, you can see that it is completely white. Hardened white glue turns to transparent, so you will not see that bold white as you can be seen right here. Also, you can notice the seam between the console and the floor that is bright white. That shows you that the glue is still very fresh beneath the flocking. So what I will do now is wait until tomorrow morning, so to be extra sure that the glue has fully hardened, and then apply compressed air to remove all these extra pieces of unattached flocking. However, they will not be removed just by tapping onto the other side. And while I'm waiting, it's time to do what I mentioned before. It's time for the A4 sheet of paper to come into effect, and that is when I empty the strainer from any remaining pieces of flocking. I take a household brush and gather the flocking in the middle as possible. Like this. And then put as much of the flocking back into the bag for future use. So today is the following day. I was more than sure that the white glue has fully hardened in almost 24 hours. So I set the compressor at 2 bars and blew away all the extra pieces of flocking that were slightly attached to all of the areas around the chassis. And as you can see, it was very easy to remove them, just some compressed air, and now I have a fully clean area, as you can see, including the console from all edges, just as realistic as the real car. As you can see, the surface is fully smooth, it's linear. As you can see, there are no humps or anything or uneven surface. It is smooth as can be, and that makes it very realistic. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I thank you all for watching. I really hope you find this tutorial helpful, and I will see you all into my next video.